Hello, Cambridge. Welcome to What's That About, where we answer all your questions about the pressing issues of the day, brought to you by CCTV, a TV station in Cambridge.
That's all?
You know, it's a cool station. Anyway, whose question delivered by the dauntless paladins of the U.S. Postal Service are we answering today?
First postcard is from Hannah on Dana Street. Hannah says, I'm what the suits call an essential worker. I don't have a car, so I depend on the MBTA to go to work and go get about town during the weekends. But I just read that the MBTA is planning massive cuts starting this summer. Like, what gives? And what can I do to stop it? What? I just moved to Boston so I could ride trains. I mean, that's the only reason.
Well, that's an important question right now, as the MBTA board is voting on cuts to service as we speak. Let's bring in subject expert Desmond Pomeroy and see what he has to say.
Well, Hannah's right. I mean, these cuts are some real bullcrap, man. Excuse my language. Gosh darn it.
I've had it with these multi-fingered cuts of the multi-fingered transportation system.
I mean, you said it, Max. Now, you know me and Charlie B are buds, right? But I gotta say, this has got me riled up. Cutting the T right when everything is supposed to be opening up again this summer?
How bad are the cuts going to be?
Pretty freaking bad. They're planning on cutting the commuter rail, including eliminating weekend service, eliminating ferries and some bus lines, cutting the frequency of subway and bus service, and stopping the T at midnight?
What?
So how's that going to impact people like Hannah who depend on the T for survival?
Well, it's going to be bad. I mean, for people riding the T, crowding is going to increase in the buses and trains, which isn't great if you're worried about the dangers of infection. So you might want to invest in one of them contagion suits, Hannah. Also, some people will lose their jobs if they can't get to work on time.
But it isn't just bad for people who take the T, it affects everyone, right? I mean, it'll increase traffic on the roads, which not only decreases the quality of life for people stuck on the pike, it increases pollution and harms the health of everyone.
Traffic sucks so much around here. Like, why does Charlie B want to make it even worse?
That's not even the end of it. Hundreds of people employed or associated with the T will lose their jobs. Businesses depend on the T. Cutting the commuter rail on weekends will harm tourism on the North and South Shore, and it runs counter to all the recent development planning in the area. All that expensive new construction centered around public transportation hubs, that just got very problematic.
That's right, Julie. And even though my good friend, Transportation Secretary Stephanie Pollock, is claiming these changes are only temporary, I mean, everybody knows that's some gold darn bullpucky, right? Once you cut service and stop running trains and fire all those people, I mean, you have to work twice as hard to try to bring it all back.
And if you continue to make transit inconvenient or impossible for people to take, that drives riders away. You won't get them back overnight either.
Which means even more cars stuck on the road when I'm trying to jet around the city in that red car with the bow you're giving me for Christmas, you know, Julie.
I'm not.
I mean,
anyways, the more you cut the T because of decreased revenue, the more you further reduce revenue. It's a vicious circle that anyone with a third grade education can figure out.
All right, look, Charlie B, even your buddies in the business community know how stupid your plan is. The Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce is against it, and they even support higher gas taxes instead. I mean, which they never do, because they're all cartoonishly hunched over like Mr. Burns, like Monopoly men.
Excellent. Well, shoot. You've convinced me, Desmo. Charlie B must have gone crazy, so what are we going to do to stop him?
Maybe if your buddy Charlie B didn't take a chauffeured limo from Swampscott into the city every day and rode the Rockport line with the little people.
Yeah. Okay, here's what we can all do. I mean, we can start at websites like Transit is Essential. This is a coalition of local transit and environmental groups advocating against the cuts. Not only can you use their website to send letters,
oh, nice.
Yeah, to your local politicians, but they lay out 4 sensible demands to the MBTA board and the legislature that you can refer to.
If you have the time, lobby the hell out of your local government, attend MBTA hearings, write your own emails, or call your legislators. Join advocacy groups like Transit Matters. Ding!
And not to get too political here, but maybe it's time to vote out people who don't support a comprehensive public transportation funding plan. Even my buddy Charlie B.
But local Democrats are also complicit. For years, there's been a Democratic supermajority in the state house led by Robert DeLeo, and he has outright refused to implement a sensible funding scheme for the T.
Oh, well, I'm definitely voting out Robert DeLeo.
Now you can't, buddy. I mean, unless you are one of his few thousand constituents in the Winthrop Revere area.
Well, but how can someone elected by a couple Winthropians control the whole state budget for like more than a decade?
Ah, that's a whole nother episode, Max. Don't got time for it now. But you can push your local rep to fight back. And I'm tired of this moldy-fingered nonsense that whenever the budget gets tight, that public transportation is always the first to get chopped. I mean, a new commuter rail stop slated to open in Brighton has been pushed back until 2040 to save a few $1 million. But a multi-billion-dollar turnpike extension is slated to start this summer. Desmond Pomeroy, to the barricades!
Viva la revolucion, Desmond!
Patria o muerte, indeed, Max. Until next time.
Nos vemos primero. Mixing dumb jokes and politics, you ask me what the use is. I offer you this country and the confederacy of doofuses, while looking down the station, wondering if my train's ever coming. I'm waiting for the great leap forward.